Every month, a whole bunch of brand new games come out, and every month, gameranx catalogs them and gives you at least the ones we're probably going to see people talking about the most, and that's what matters here on the internet, right? How to get those views. Hi, folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 games you need to know about in February 2025. Starting off with number 10, it's Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, the sequel to the action RPG slash kinda simulator, not completely, but you're a 15th century bohemian guy. You gotta traverse the land, survive, and swing a sword around from time to time. Obviously, you gotta deal with everything you would if you lived in Bohemia. Well, not everything, it's a video game. But the second time around looks like it is a much bigger, much more advanced version of the first game. There's going to be two primary regions, for instance. There's the whole Bohemian paradise you might expect, as well as the city of Kunta Hora. Forgive me on the pronunciation if that's not correct. I am not a Bohemian. I also have not played the game yet, so I haven't heard somebody say it. They are bringing in some new stuff. You got crossbows, which weren't in the first game. There's also some pretty early firearms. Obviously, you're not going to get a machine gun or anything in this game. Not going to be semi-automatic pistol akimbo stuff. That's not here. You're probably talking real long reload times, single shot stuff. There's also some new skills in the character system is expanded. Like you can coerce people, you can dominate them in conversation, etc., etc. Kingdom Come Deliverance is coming out February 4th on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. Moving on to number 9, it's Lost Records Bloom and Rage, a narrative adventure coming to us by way of Don't Nod Montreal. As you know, the creators of Life is Strange. These are guys that make fairly unique games if you've never played them. They are games that would otherwise make me a bit off-put. For some reason, they do this sort of melodramatic emo crap in a way that doesn't bother me. In truth, there's not a whole lot of these types of games that I actually enjoy. Don't Nod is basically who does it for me. This game is set in Velvet Cone, Michigan, which does not sound like a real city to me, but I could be wrong. Not going to bother Googling it. It's kind of unimportant whether or not that's a real city or it's the city that's in the game. So anyway, you take the role of Swan, a punk band leader. The punk band is called Bloom and Rage, so there you got your title there. And a tragedy happens which causes all of the friends to never want to see each other again, and 27 years later, they end up having to confront it together. So my question is, if there is a clown in the sewers that is eating children involved in that tragedy, we'll see. Probably not. On one hand, it does look like a Don't Nod game, the kind of game they were originally really known for. And they've expanded out in other things. Vampire was a not necessarily perfect, little janky, but otherwise awesome game. But this looks very much like it leans into the more Life is Strange type game, which is fine. Like I said, Life is Strange I like. Lost Records Bloom and Rage is coming on March 18th for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Moving on to number 8, it's Tomb Raider 4, 5, and 6 Remastered. Of course, we saw the first 3, and now we're seeing the next 3. These ones are not numbered, though. This one's Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation, Tomb Raider Chronicles, and Angel of Darkness, coming to us all from Aspire Media. They were responsible for the previous collection, and we're getting pretty much all the same stuff we saw for the first remastered trilogy. The improved visuals, the modernized controls. There's some unused content from the original development process that is being restored, some voice lines, a couple of gameplay mechanics. Honestly, I don't know how much it's going to impact this, but they're claiming it gives us some deeper narrative context and character development. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how much narrative depth there really was to these original games. People certainly weren't playing them for narrative depth. They were playing them because sexy lady have guns, and I don't necessarily mean firearms, but also the plots were generally about Uncharted 1 level. Not bad or anything, but certainly not why you're playing the game. Anyway, they are classic games. They definitely revolutionized a certain genre that we see a lot of games in nowadays. So, in my opinion, they are actually worth going back to for more than the large guns, let's say. In fact, the large guns are not really that great a reason to go back. We have better animation techniques nowadays, let's say. A lot of let's saying in this one. Tomb Raider 4 through 6 Remastered is coming to PC, the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and the Switch, February 14th. And number 7 is Midnight Murder Club, a first-person, I guess, shooter. Not necessarily, though. It's coming to us from Valen Studios, and it's published by Sony. I don't know exactly how to classify it. It kind of, at least in concept, reminds me of Among Us. It's set in a place called Wormwood Manor. You're part of an elite society where you do this masking up, dressing up, pretending thing, and you deceive, you sharpshoot other people, you trick. You have a flashlight and a revolver when you start. The mansion's very dark. You have to either hide or attack. Attacking reveals you. I don't know if I want to call it a stealth competitive shooter because I don't know if it's really that. There is trickery involved according to the description of the game. I mean, you got traps, you got different weapons, equipment, you get night vision pills, which is obviously like just basically night vision goggles that work probably temporarily, I'd have to expect. Looks like an interesting game. It's going to have cross-play between PC and PS5, which are also the platforms that's coming out sometime in February. We don't have an exact date, but it is launching in early access sometime this upcoming month. Moving on to number 6, it's Big Helmet Heroes, a 3D beat-em-up coming to us by Exalted Studio. You got 29 different heroes to choose from, and you go on a, you go on a beat-em-up adventure. I mean, it's not like a particularly novel story or game. It's a princess rescuing story, but it also looks pretty cool. It's a 2-player co-op game. You can play it local, which I'm a big fan of couch co-op, of course. That's a big deal. I always love seeing new games come out with the ability to play couch co-op. You're going up against goblins, mummies, pirates, etc. Obviously, the name of the game is a joke, but it doesn't look like a joke game. It looks like a serious beat-em-up, kind of along the lines of Castle Crashers in some ways. Maybe not necessarily paced the same, but it's got those vibes. The graphics are fully 3D, but also not actually. Like, everything's polygons, but it looks distinct. There is a demo available on Steam and Xbox Series if you want to try it out now. The actual game is coming February 6th to PC, PS5, of course, Xbox Series, and Nintendo Switch. Moving on to number 5, it's Ambulance Life, a paramedic simulator. I mean, pretty self-explanatory as to what this game is attempting to be. It's a sim, and it has ambulance in the title. So it's in a city inspired by San Francisco called San Pelicano. There's 3 districts. There's industrial, business, historic. I mean, I hate to say it, but blah, blah, blah. It's kind of exactly clear what a game called Ambulance Life that is a paramedic simulator is. I don't want to insult your intelligence by trying to act like there's something super novel about this, but I will say there's not really a lot of highly specific job simulators. Like, I think its existence is a little downstream of these more truck driving, mud runner, snow runner, these really specific type of exact thing simulator. It does look like it's an attempt to make a realistic version of a paramedic sim, and that's certainly not the same thing as simulating something that's super removed from real life, like Doom. Like, Doom is technically a simulator. You are simulating an experience, but it's nothing like real life. You would never live it through anything like that, and this one's a pretty hyper-specific one. I think interesting. It's coming to February 6th on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. Moving on to number 4 is Sid Meier's Civilization 7, the latest installment of the turn-based 4X strategy series. You got the city building, you got the conquering, you got all that good stuff. You know what Civilization is. Like, they made the joke on Law and Order. I'd be playing Civ 5 or whatever I don't remember what he said. It's a well-known game. There are, of course, some developments in this version of Civilization. You're actually able to, and I think this is a really intriguing idea, you can select different leaders from different eras to lead different civilizations. So, at least in my understanding of it, you would be able to pick Abraham Lincoln to lead a Chinese dynasty, in theory. And I think that would at least be quite fun, if not necessarily historically accurate, of course. You got antiquity, exploration, and modern eras in this game. The leaders aren't exclusive there, so I think there's pretty interesting possibilities here. There's a few other changes, but I think that's probably the most interesting sounding one to me. And of course, it's Sid Meier's Civilization. You really, at this point, probably know what you're getting with that. It's kind of the original, or at least the most popular of this type of game. And it's coming out February 11th to PC, the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and Nintendo Switch. And number 3 is Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, which is a mouthful of silly words. The silliest name for a game in this series I think I've heard. But also, it's I mean Yakuza / and/or Like a Dragon. It's a spin-off of the main games, of course. You are not normally a pirate in the Yakuza games, but you are Goro Majima, a fan favorite, and you are a pirate captain. It is hard for me to describe this as anything other than very silly. I mean, it's Yakuza, but pirates. Basically, what Ubisoft should have done with Skull and Bones, except for it would have been Assassin's Creed there, minus the Assassin's Creed stuff. Yakuza, obviously picking up the mantle of what they should have done. This one is the signature old-school Yakuza beat-em-up gameplay. It's not a JRPG-styled game. I don't think there's a lot to say other than it's a pirate Yakuza game, which is absolutely silly. And honestly, everything you might expect from this series, they are willing to do a lot of different things. And it usually works, in all seriousness. Whether you do something maybe a little bit more serious like Judgment, which still has silly stuff in it, to be clear, or you do something this absurd, it doesn't sound like not Yakuza to me at this point. Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii is coming February 21st to the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and PC. And number 2 is Avowed, a first-person fantasy RPG from Obsidian. Basically, it's Skyrim set in Eora, the Pillars of Eternity world. Essentially, there's mysteries abound surrounding something called a dream scourge, a plague that has taken on the world. And as you know, when Obsidian does a kind of Bethesda-type game, I am very likely to praise it. Avowed is going to have the narrative. It's going to have the world. I think it's open zone as opposed to open world, if I remember right. Don't necessarily quote me on that. It could be a smaller open world. Obsidian tends to not go for the super grand one, but rather the more detailed, smaller one. But you got magic, you got melee, you got skill trees, all the things you'd expect from this type of a game. And Obsidian just does it really good. Honestly, if this wasn't Obsidian, I probably wouldn't be, excited. I probably wouldn't be talking about it as though it was something I think is kind of automatically a good idea, because it's in a lot of ways a generic template for a type of game, but it's Obsidian and they really know what they're doing. They tell a good story, they do great with gameplay, they build great worlds, etc., etc. Avowed is coming February 18th to the Xbox Series and the PC. And finally, at number 1, it's, of course, Monster Hunter Wilds. Like, what else could be number 1? Like, this is a very big release, and I mean, it's also one of those kinds of games where I don't have to tell you exactly what it is. There's not a lot to say about what Monster Hunter is. It's kind of its own genre at this point. But it seems like they're incorporating some great stuff from Monster Hunter Rise, which took the series a little more vertical. It was designed for the Switch, so it wasn't necessarily as technologically advanced as Monster Hunter World, but it had a great color palette and mechanics, like I said, that were a lot more verticalized. I liked that a lot. And I mean, this is the next Monster Hunter game. Monster Hunter World is fantastic. Monster Hunter Rise is fantastic. These are both games I really like. There have been games where others have attempted to make like a Monster Hunter style game, and they haven't quite nailed it yet. Like I said, it's kind of its own genre, and people are trying, but Monster Hunter is the original. It does it the right way. It does it very well. It's going to be nice because there's single player and online multiplayer that's cross-play against all the platforms it's coming out on. And if you're interested, there is also a 2-part open beta happening early in February on the 6th through the 9th and the 13th through the 16th. Anything you do there is also going to be transferable to the full game, which is releasing on February 28th for the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series, and the PC. You can bet I will be playing Monster Hunter Wilds. I do, of course, have a few bonus games for you here. The first of them is Rift of the Necrodancer, a rhythm roguelike from the creators of Crypt the Necrodancer. That's coming to PC on February 5th, and it is also coming to Switch sometime later in the year. There's also Morsels, a surreal story narrative adventure inspired by 1930s cartoons. Also coming to PC and Switch, but in addition to that, PS5 as well. That's landing on February 28th. Then there's Be Gone Beast, a cooperative dungeon crawler. Doesn't have an exact date, but it is coming to PC sometime in February. Next up is Moons of Darsalon, a side-scrolling action game with physics-based platforming. It's got retrofuturism looks. I think pretty cool-looking game. Coming to the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and Switch, February 6th. And finally, Dollhouse Behind the Broken Mirror, a noir-looking psychological horror game coming to the PS5, Xbox Series, and the PC. And that's all for today. So leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you liked the video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now is a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. The best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter and book me on Cameo at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.